Are you a history buff who thinks life in colonial America was all about grandeur and sophistication? Well, think again. It's time to face the dirty truth. Hygiene in colonial America was downright disgusting. From bathing habits to toilet practices, our forefathers had some seriously gross habits that would make your skin crawl. So, hold your breath and join us on a journey through time as we uncover the shocking reality of hygiene in colonial America. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations that will have you reaching for the hand sanitizer. When you think of colonial America, you might imagine people in powdered wigs and hoop skirts. But what you might not realize is that the hygiene practices of those times were far different from what we consider normal today. In fact, they were downright disgusting. For starters, there was no such thing as toothpaste or mouthwash. People instead used things like soot and ashes to clean their teeth. And if they had any dental problems, they would just pull the offending tooth out with a pair of pliers. As for bathing, most people only did so once a week, if that. It wasn't unusual for people to go months without taking a bath. Clothes were also rarely washed. Instead, they were simply beaten with a stick or hung outside to air out. This led to a lot of people having lice and other parasites living in their clothes. All of this probably sounds pretty gross to us today, but it's important to remember that these practices were normal for the time period. So next time you're complaining about your daily shower, just be grateful that you don't have to clean yourself with ashes. One of the most common diseases spread due to poor hygiene was typhoid fever. Typhoid fever is caused by the bacterium Salmonella enterica cerevar typhi and is typically spread through contaminated food or water. In colonial America, contaminated water supplies were a common source of typhoid fever. Another disease that was commonly spread due to poor hygiene was cholera. Cholera is caused by the bacterium Vibrio cholerae and is typically spread through contaminated water supplies. In colonial America, cholera was often spread through contamination of community wells by sewage. Diseases such as typhoid fever and cholera were often fatal in colonial America due to the lack of effective treatments. However, even non-fatal diseases could be devastating if left untreated. For example, intestinal parasites such as roundworms and hookworms are commonly spread through contact with contaminated soil or feces. These parasites can cause severe malnutrition and can lead to death if left untreated. Today, we have a much better understanding of how disease spreads and how to prevent it. However, it is important to remember that poor hygiene can still lead to the spread of disease. That's why it's so important to practice good personal hygiene and promote sanitation practices in our communities. Despite the disgusting conditions that existed in colonial America, some effort was made to improve hygiene among the lower classes. In 1732, Philadelphia passed a law requiring all houses to have privies, or outdoor toilets, that were to be kept clean. This law was largely ignored, however, and it wasn't until the late 1800s that real progress was made in improving sanitation in America. One of the most important things that colonial Americans learned about hygiene was the importance of clean water. In cities, water was often contaminated with sewage and other waste. This led to the spread of diseases like cholera and typhoid fever. To prevent these diseases, people began to purify their water by boiling it or using filters. Another lesson that colonial Americans learned about hygiene was the importance of keeping food clean. Foodborne illnesses were common in colonial America due to the lack of refrigeration and poor sanitation practices. To prevent these illnesses, people began to wash their hands more often and cook their food more thoroughly. The experiences of colonial America have shaped our modern understanding of hygiene in many ways. These lessons from history are still relevant today and can help us keep ourselves healthy and safe from disease. Our vision of the past is often clouded by nostalgia and myth, but when it comes to hygiene in colonial America, there's no denying that conditions were far from sanitary. With limited access to clean water and soap, as well as a lack of knowledge about germs and disease prevention, colonists had few options for keeping themselves and their families safe from infection. Despite these challenges, some people managed to stay relatively healthy through regular bathing practices and other preventative measures. While we're all thankful for modern plumbing today, this video has given us a glimpse into the difficult lives our colonial ancestors endured without it. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great content.